It's your man Keith here. Thank you for joining me on the very, very first premiere episode of The Spot. Um, Growing up, when you think of the spot was always a place where you could go, felt like home. You can kind of get a perspective on different things, come through, decompress, get yourself together, and then go back out into the world. Um, Growing up, a spot could have been anywhere: barbershop, the house, the porch. It could have been anything. Today, for me, the spot is a place where people can come, be vulnerable, be free, talk about anything that they would like to talk about, the issues. Um, we're gonna get real vulnerable again on this show. Talk about the culture, the current state of hip hop, the current state of mental health, the current state of just anything um, that needs to be discussed. On my platform, I like to base the foundation of I can't change your perspective, you can't change mine, but we are here to get real. We are here to talk about it. Today I have a very special guest, my first guest, Antonio Peeples. Been a real good friend of mine for years, and this brother's a real deep brother. Um, he's got a lot of perspective on a lot of different things that we talk about daily. So definitely wanted to make this a special episode. Have him come through. Antonio, come on through, man.
You.
Yo, what's up, man?
What's up, bro?
Welcome to the spot, man.
What's going on?
Thank you for coming through, my brother.
Yes, sir.
How you doing, man?
Chilling, man.
Yeah.
Chilling.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Thank you for coming through, man. I know it's been a long time coming.
Yeah.
We discussed this, a while back. We discussed this a while back.
Mm-hmm.
Just as far as just as far as things that we talk about on a daily basis, man. We talk about perspective on family, different things like that. But I don't want to get into that right now, man. Go ahead and tell the people where you're from. Where's your upbringing, man? Where you from? What's going on, man?
Man, started off in Alabama. Was a young kid.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much came to Cali when I was about 7 years old.
Okay.
I'd say. Mom took a chance on the man,
Mm-hmm.
and happened to be my stepfather. And the man, he raised me pretty much.
Okay.
And yeah,
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's what's up. So, man, on my show, like I said, we go deep. We go deep here. And one of the, we'll just dive right into it, man. We'll just dive right into it. One thing that, I really want to speak on is every time we speak, and one thing I always appreciate about you is you always ask me, how's your mental game? How's your mental health? How's everything going with that? So give me your perspective on mental health these days, man. Like, I personally feel like mental health, especially in our community, is not taken serious enough. Give me your perspective on that, man. What do you think, man?
Mental health is something that it is extremely overlooked. When it comes to just your day to day, you see you interact with others, and you just see like, just how they may already assume something, or just just going through your day to day, and just really just seeing how people move, and just the impatience, and just the patience in a person. You kind of, I would have to say, you see it from an angle to where you just like, mental health is just like, okay, I got.
Okay, I mean, at the end of the day, mental health is such an important thing in our community. A couple things. Going around the culture, it's not cool to say you have mental health issues.
Yeah.
Especially in hip hop and just hip hop and rap in general. If you look at 90% of the rappers out there and what they talk about, they're dealing with traumas. These people need therapy.
Yeah.
If you can talk, and I know, through the 80s and different things like that, all the stuff that they used to talk about in the hood, all the stuff they used to talk about killing and 187s they used to call them back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
All of that shit comes from traumas. It's not normal to see somebody killed. It's not normal to see somebody, to see a fiend in the streets. That wasn't normal, but
Mm-hmm.
that was life at the end of the day.
Right.
And we just so happened to be able to make, um, to give ourselves a platform and give ourselves, the ability to make financial gain
Right.
off of
Mm-hmm.
our traumas that we dealt with.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Our
Right.
traumas that we dealt with. There's plenty of stories that my father has told me, back in the hood, and stuff like that he's had to deal with. There's plenty of stories that my mother has told me that she's had to deal with, and
Mm.
and that's just a normalized thing in our community, but it's really not normal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? A lot of that stuff comes from trauma.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get these new artists and they go viral and they sit up and
Mm.
they normalize guns and killing and shooting and talking about what they're gonna do to this person and do to that person.
Mm-hmm.
That shit is mental. It's a mental health problem.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that they saw growing up. It's something that they were exposed to. It's something because it's not easy to kill a man. You have to be desensitized in order to kill a man.
That goes back to a sense of detachment.
Yeah.
That's a different form of detachment. That's like emotional detachment to
Right.
I would say 100% degree, if that even makes sense. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, it's just like when people, it's just a day to day when you interact with people, or if you look somebody in their eyes, you can see. A lot of people nowadays don't really make eye contact with each other or
Right.
say anything to each
Right.
other because they're already so fickle in their minds
Mm-hmm.
or overthinking about something that is just probably not that complicated. It's just saying, hey, hello, or,
Right. Right.
just how are you, and or just what's good,
Right.
wherever, whatever, you know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it's just like, I people are so worried about what others are thinking of them,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always, you know, going back to being a kid, I've always just been me,
Mm-hmm.
regardless of the environment that I was in. I don't think it's the environment, definitely. That, from my perspective, I feel like the environment doesn't play like that major of a role in a
Mm-hmm.
person. I feel like it's the person, how they shape the environment,
Mm-hmm.
because mental health, it just goes back for me at a young age. If we really gonna get vulnerable,
All right.
like,
Go ahead. Talk your talk, man. Talk your talk.
my mom, she, my real dad, I don't know, God knows where he is,
Mm-hmm.
and love the man, you know what I'm saying, and always will. Um, to a degree, it's like they used to fight, bro, like all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I was a 7-year-old kid. I see that, and my mind couldn't fathom exactly what was going on because I grew up seeing a lot of good times being around my cousins and
Mm-hmm.
everything. Mostly, had tremendous amount of family around me,
Right.
musically family. This is a gospel family, so it was crazy to see my real father just like be a Christian man at
Mm-hmm.
that, a man in the church that wasn't really serving the way that he was supposed to. But it's just the way things work. My mom was a very kind individual, and she would always, you know, she would always look out, even though that wasn't her family.
Mm-hmm.
It was a lot of juju going on back
Right.
then,
Right.
man. But
Right.
you know, long story short, like I had a violent upbringing. Like as a kid, like cousins, fight with cousins, all that. We just wild. We was
Right.
some wild
Right. Right.
kids,
Right.
like
Right. Right.
like to a point they diagnosed me with ADHD, I think.
Mm.
But you know, I don't have any issues with that now, but it was just back then, you know, mental health starts at a young age for a
Yeah.
kid,
Absolutely. It absolutely does.
that programming, as a young black kid, it's just like we as I feel as we grow, you choose to agree or disagree
Mm-hmm.
with what it is, and I think one thing for sure, what always kept me, going with my mental health is love.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that love, man, because I love my dad still,
Right.
you know, regardless. I think loving is learning how to let go of shit too. You know what I mean? And it's important. Like when you say that word, you know, can you give your perspective on what you know how important mental health is because
Mm-hmm.
it's pinnacle for the success
Right.
of just like a child.
Mm-hmm.
Like that support. Having that, I didn't really have that as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to just conjure it up by myself, and I don't know, it's just your spirit that has something to do with it. When it comes to you know just loving. You know what I mean? When it
Right.
comes to that, it really affects your mental health. So it depends on the person and the environment that they were in. My environment was still bad because I could have went that route. I
Of
could have been
course.
that, all of that. But it was just like that shit wasn't cool to me. So so I'm just like I'm gonna take it from a perspective and I'm gonna go with it. And I've always been this intelligent kid. My godparents will always put me in positions where there was books.
Right.
So it was just like, okay, they would take me places would that does play a role. The environment does play a role,
Mm-hmm.
but it's they would take me to the zoo and everything, man. Like they would just put me in different things that I was just interested in, and I grew up in a school that was just like had everything.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
So you were exposed to a
I was
lot.
exposed to it, like music, just like they had the instruments.
Right.
Like when we were looking at the dinosaurs, we actually had like the actual bones.
Right.
We went to the museums, and it's just when it comes to it, it all adds up to you know the approach that you have when it comes to life. So you know I mean, I can't speak for every other brother, but it's maybe I was just blessed as an individual to
Right.
come across the things that I did because music really grabbed a hold of me in the beginning like
Right.
crazy. Like when I was watching my cousin play on the drums, that's where it started.
Yeah.
So maybe I don't know, man. I mean, God has his ways because it's like I still feel like no matter how harsh the environment, there's always something to see
Right.
rather than it's just what are you really focusing on?
Right.
You know what I mean? I think I was just focused on what was cool, what was creative,
Mm-hmm.
and what was fun.
Right.
I think that outlet, I think when it comes to mental health, people have forgotten how to have fun,
Absolutely.
and life is, we only get one
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
This is one thing.
This is
Like we
it.
don't get any,
There are no second lives.
there
There is
we
no. There
don't know
is
what
no.
happens after
Yeah. There
this.
is no second life.
There's a chance where we could believe in reincarnation, and that might not be true.
Mm-hmm.
It could be you go to heaven, you believe that. You know what I'm saying? From whoever's perspective or whatever you believe in, it's just this is a shot. You know, Even from a spiritual standpoint, if you believe in elevation, you still have to understand like there are parts of the brain where you have to actually just like give a little attention to,
Right.
and just delve into things that you don't know about. You know what I mean? But I think a lot of things are just people overlooking the pain,
Yeah.
and don't understand that the pain is a blessing itself in disguise. Because if you really look at the pain, it creates growth. That's one thing why I like about being in the gym,
Mm-hmm.
because that's a great way, another way for me as a mental outlet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it's just like, you go in a world where it's so hard
Right.
and people come down on you. As soon as you come out the door, even from a perspective of being just a black man, just going out into the world, you have to deal with such criticism,
Mm-hmm.
judgment, and you might not even be that. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Each day I deal with that. You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, if a person actually really takes the time to get to know me, they're going to actually get to love me.
Right.
Because that's the type of person I am. You either hate me or love me, but eventually you start loving me anyway
Right.
because I'm just me, and I feel like, you know, my cousins, my family, the people that I'm around, I've always been around real people.
Right.
That's another thing, so it was always easier for me to kind of, you know, really soak
Continue
in,
to center yourself
you know.
around, know your
Yeah,
foundation, know your
yeah,
your roots,
yeah.
and
I know I'm rambling, but
no. I mean, this is what this is about. This
yeah.
is about, like I said, it's the spot.
Mm,
So when you come to the spot, man, it's like you growing up, like your cousin, like where y'all at the
yeah,
spot. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And again, it's a place for you to come
Mm,
and get these things and this perspective off and
yeah.
talk your shit and be able to talk freely and
Mm,
vulnerable
hmm.
and let God speak through you and
Yeah,
whatever it is that you want to say
yeah.
and whatever it is that he wants to reveal through you.
And that's
You
another
dig?
thing too. Like, see, a lot of men, when they get around a lot of men, they find it hard to talk about God. Like,
Yeah.
I don't
That's a
understand that.
banned subject
To
in our
me,
world today.
you're not a man. How can I put this without it sounding offensive? A man has to have some kind of spirituality
Of
to
course.
be a man completely,
Mm-hmm.
to focus in order to succeed. I mean, there are some people in life that, they go the atheist route or whatever, but it's just like, why a lot of men feel so unbalanced is because they don't have, they're pouring too much into one cup.
Right.
Some men pour too much into the financial cup and they forget the spiritual cup and they forget
Mm-hmm.
the physical cup. And what the physical is could be health.
Right.
Your health is wealth, because you can't really enjoy wealth until you have health under control. You know what I'm saying? Your life
Right.
could be completely about your health. You know what I mean? If you don't
Mm-hmm.
get it straight. But it's like, I'm talking about myself when I
Of
say these
course.
things, because it's like, you really understand, like when you go through like some kind of disorder or something like that, or some stomach issues and things like that, and then things get real.
Right. 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 Right.
You
Right.
know what I'm
Right.
saying? But
I mean, I think the biggest perspective, and I totally
yeah.
respect where you're coming from.
Mhm.
I talk about this with my wife all the time.
Mhm.
One of the biggest things is when you grow up, you're either gonna do two things.
Mhm.
You're either gonna be the environment you were in,
Mhm.
or you're gonna take that environment and say, "This is not what I want."
Mhm.
I would
That's
say for
facts.
me, 80 to 85% of people
Mm.
end up conforming to the environment they were in because it's what you know.
Right.
It's what you were taught.
Mm.
It's your upbringing. If I'm teaching you this and you started to develop
Yeah.
habits at 4 years old
Yeah.
and then you move out at 18, what else are you gonna know other
Yeah.
than whatever it is that I'm teaching you?
Yeah.
Whether it is a father who is abusing,
Mm.
his wife,
Mhm.
whether it is a wife cheating on her husband and the children know,
Mm.
whether it is abuse to the children, whether it is um, you know um, just different things that are allowed in households.
Yeah.
And this is where we get our issues.
Yeah.
This is where our issues come. Our issues as people start as children.
Phew.
People don't really
Mm.
understand that yes, you have traumas and you have things that you go through and shape you when you're, adolescent
Yeah.
and teenager. But when you are a child, this is what you know.
Mhm.
I have a 3 year old who soaks up and repeats everything we say. I
Right.
have to honestly watch everything we say around the house
Mm.
because she's a sponge.
Mm.
And this is what she knows. I even have to watch the things that I say to other people in my household, like my
Right.
teenager and my
Right.
wife. I can't talk freely like that around. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? Like I
Mhm.
can't I can't do that kind of stuff because this is what she's gonna know. I don't want my child growing up knowing that all she heard was cursing and all she heard was this and
Yeah.
she's seen this, she was exposed to this, so this is going to continue the cycle.
Mm.
We have to understand how to break the cycle at a certain point.
Right.
We have to, and it starts with our children,
Mm.
because if we don't break that cycle continues for generations and generations and generations.
Yeah.
So when you say you were exposed to different things and you were exposed to things that you
Yeah.
use your hands with,
Yeah.
you things that you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying, you have to learn, you have to hear drums, you have to hear patterns, you have to hear that kind of stuff. This is not the world we live in today because everything is so
It's
it's so
yeah.
accessible.
Yeah.
Nobody has to work.
It's dumbed down.
Right. Nobody has to work to gain mental
Mm,
to gain
mm,
to gain thought. Nobody has to. I guess I'm saying nobody has to think anymore. You know
right.
what I'm saying?
Right.
Because everything is
It's too
So
accessible.
right.
And one thing about, you know, how can I put this? Things are a little bit too easy to get nowadays.
Yeah.
I mean, from a perspective now, like even from a producer's perspective, even the drums have been dumbed down. You know, when you hear like a track,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the 808s, you know, and it's like people, I don't know, man, it's just too, I feel like too many people are in positions where, you know, they really need to acquire knowledge in order to go to another step
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to things. You know what I'm saying? So the more accessible it is, the less you appreciate it, the less you put more time
Right.
into it, the
Right.
less interest you are
Right.
in it because it feels like it's just that. It's not an achievement.
Right.
So it's just something that's, you know,
Right.
easy for me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And we don't appreciate, I don't think anybody really appreciates
No.
that.
No.
You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think, you know, if we just obtained the riches in life or just obtained everything easy in life, it wouldn't feel like you wouldn't feel that necessary confidence as a man
Right.
when it comes to, you know, wherever struggle you come from. The hard
Mm-hmm.
times will make you.
Right.
You
Right.
know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right.
And I think society now is in a place where they try to avoid that,
Of course.
you know, and we're too sensitive now. Everything is just everything is too much at our
That's a
at
whole
our
nother subject.
you know,
That
disposal.
that
You feel
whole
me? Like,
being sensitive
yeah,
and is a
you don't
whole
have to work,
another right.
you
And
know.
kind of going back to what we were speaking on, as I told you before, you know I think active therapy for people is
Absolutely.
something that
Oh man.
everybody should be in. I think therapy is something that every
Man,
human being
absolutely.
should have to be required to go through,
Man.
because look, man, you know I know you be in the gym, and I know, what I'm saying, you do your thing like that. And
Mhm.
2 years ago, let's just take it back. Let's just
Mhm.
take it back. I grew up in a two-parent household.
Yeah.
I was exposed to marriage. I was exposed to different things like that. So
Mhm.
when I got married, this is something I knew what I wanted to do. This is
Right.
something that I knew because I had seen it.
Mhm.
Again, you do what you're seeing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You do what you saw growing up.
Yeah.
You do what you were exposed to growing up.
Absolutely.
So when I met my wife,
Mhm.
it was something that's like, I know I don't want to play around anymore. I want a family. I've seen it. Is it the easiest thing to do? Absolutely not. It's
Mm-mm.
absolutely not. But I knew growing up this is what I wanted. Now, did I see a lot in marriage that
Mhm.
I know I necessarily may not want to use?
Right.
Of course. But but again, you take your perspective on what it is that you do in
Mhm.
your household, what you saw, and tweak it, and you bring the you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying,
Absolutely.
of how you
The
would
fine
raise.
tuning.
Yeah, yeah, you
Yeah.
fine tune it.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
I eventually, I went through my things. I moved out at a very early age.
Mhm.
I would say I moved out at 23. I don't know what the hell as a 23-year-old going out in
Mhm.
this world. I look at a 23-year-old now and I'm like, you're a baby.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You're a
Right.
baby.
Yeah.
I grew up with different things. High
Mhm.
school, it was cool, but
Yeah.
I dealt with a lot of anxiety through high
Mhm.
school, and I
Mhm.
didn't really realize it was anxiety until like just recently.
Mhm.
Look, I'm 35 years old. I graduated high school in 2006.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
I didn't really realize that the things I was going through in high school, they weren't just teenager things. They weren't just like, oh, I'm struggling with weight. I'm struggling with, what I'm saying. I want to have a girlfriend. I like this person. They don't like me back. Or it,
Mhm.
it wasn't just that. It was deeper than what I thought it was.
Right. Right.
And then I get older, and then I start going out and working these jobs and understanding money and living my life. And
Mhm.
then you get out and you start developing these other types of things that go
Mhm.
on. You start dealing with grown man shit that
Mm.
goes on. You start having to really poke your chest out in this world because you got people wanting to try you.
Oh man.
You got different things. You know what I'm saying? You got different things.
Oh
And
my
now at
goodness.
that point, you live your life on the defense.
Yeah.
That's not a way to live your life. You're not supposed to live life on the defense.
Right.
You keep your head on the swivel, but you don't have to live your life on the defense.
Let me
And
tell
so
you.
when I started developing these things, again, I didn't know what anxiety was until I want to say a year to year and a half ago. I started to, I was 400 pounds at one point. I was at my heaviest weight that I had ever been on. And, 2 years ago, I decided this is a mental thing. This is no more physical. This is mental.
Right.
This is trauma. This is different things. I eat out of stress. I drink out of stress. And I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic or anything like that, but I like to drink. You know what I'm saying? Like
Right.
I would like to get on one and not knowing it,
Yeah.
nigga, you putting, you know what I'm saying? You're doing more than what you know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I got on a scale and that scale said 406 pounds, 406 pounds, I cried. I cried, man. I cried because I didn't know where I was in life. I didn't understand, how did I get here? How did I get here? Where do I go to get where I was? So I started working out. And to this day, to the grace of God, I've lost over 130 pounds.
That's right.
So, but that started dying down. The workout started dying down. The excitement of you're losing weight, you're looking good, you're doing this, you're doing that. That shit started to die down.
Yeah.
So the depression, the anxiety, all that started to creep back up. And when I got into therapy, my therapist said, because I told him I work out, I do this. When I first got into therapy is when I started this workout. Because not only did I have to work out my body, I had to work out my mental at the same time. And I want to say that they pronounced me as to having moderate to severe anxiety. And I didn't know what that meant. Anxiety is the belief that something is going to go bad. Anxiety is the belief that something is always
that paranoia.
It's a form of paranoia.
It's an element.
It's an element, but it's a form of paranoia.
Yeah.
But it's paranoia is more for a moment. Anxiety is a lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because not only are you taking anxiety into everyday life, you're taking it into with your children. Your children give you anxiety. Your wife gives you anxiety. Your finances give you anxiety.
Man.
Dealing with just daily work gives you anxiety.
Yeah.
And I really had to figure out how to control it until I realized there's no such thing as controlling anxiety. You have to sharpen your tools. One thing I learned is, you have to learn how to deal with anxiety in a healthy way. So going back to when I say dealing with anxiety in a healthy way, all those years that I was partying, drinking, coping with it, with women, going out, and I mean, we lived our life back in the day. You know what I'm saying? We back in the day. You know what I'm saying? You already know what we used to dibble and dabble in. You know, my this previous marriage. Love you, babe. But this is what we used to do, right. And again, dealing with anxiety, I had to deal with it in a healthy way. All those forms that we were doing was unhealthy way of dealing with
it. We and yeah. It's a total flip too, and I think I may have a bit of it when it comes to it, because when you go from that drastic of a lifestyle, and that's what you pretty much are used to. You're young, you're in the moment.
Of course.
As men, our minds are totally different 10 years ago than what they are now.
Yeah.
So it's just like, going back to those moments, we were so used to that. and just flip it, you know, and just life happens to a way to it life is just the way that it is, man. Is
Right.
just it goes in different directions for every man,
Right.
and you know,
And social media doesn't make it any better.
yeah, no, it doesn't because
because if you have to have the same opinion on social
goodness,
media. You know,
it's
if you don't
scary.
agree with this person and the perspective of the world on
Oh my
this one
goodness.
subject, oh my God, the world is over.
Oh my
Can you
goodness.
speak on that for a little bit? Can you speak on what social media does to people, man,
Oh my
and just kind of
goodness.
like,
It's not good.
yeah,
It's because it's a form of conditioning to a lot of people's minds.
right,
Because a lot of people ain't getting out the house nowadays.
right.
You know?
No,
So, you know,
I could dig,
a lot of people just be staying in the house, man.
right,
And it's just like all they have is this.
right,
You know, this is, you know, to a form their lover,
right,
you know, their
right,
friend,
right.
you know,
I have
their
a 14-year-old who
man,
it's just
their venting session, you know. A lot of
yeah,
people go off on social media, and
right.
a lot of people are going through something as they go on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So they, you know, it's a lot of venom that
Mm-hmm.
can be spat from somebody that's not in the right mental health,
Right,
you know,
right.
in a not in a good mental space, I would say. You know, that could they could be in a place, a very dark place, you know what I'm saying, from all the things that they've been through as a child that, you know, have given them a perspective on how you and I or how anybody would be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a dangerous realm to step in.
Especially
It's a good and a bad thing, but it
right,
depends on what you're looking for. You know what I'm
right.
saying? And understanding that it is a tool. And a lot of people don't understand that it is a tool. They are becoming a tool to it. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? And it's using them, and it's a form of, you know, escape for a lot of
Right.
people because they don't want to deal with the true reality.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And of what it is, because let's just be real, it's a perspective on, like, you know, how do I say this, on just social media and just everybody's life, that when you actually step into the real world, it's not like that. You know what I'm saying? There's an ego part of social media that I
Right.
just don't like. You know, I feel like a lot of egotistical people are on social media,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and they're influencing others to be egotistical instead of
Right.
having and understanding individuality. But there is a rise to that too. It's just, it depends on what you're looking for.
Right.
But it's like, regardless of what you're looking for, there's always going to be somebody with a different, you
Of
know,
course. And I can respect
yeah,
the celebrities and the rappers and stuff that you know are my
yeah,
handpicked favorites.
yeah,
You have your Kendricks, you have your J. Cole's, you have those kind of artists who don't post on social media.
right,
You never really see them like Wayne.
yeah,
You don't really see them
yeah,
posting on social
my
media
kind of folks.
and yeah, and then living yeah, because this is
Privacy.
because people don't really understand that social media is a fake
It
world.
is.
It's not
It
reality.
is not.
Just because this person is doing this, and the funny thing is, 90% of the time,
Hmm.
they're not really doing what they're telling you they're doing. They're regular
Right,
Joe schmoes just like you. They got to pay
right,
light bills, gas bills.
right,
They do the same shit
right,
as you do. You dig
right.
what I'm saying?
They're not showing you
Right,
all. Not everything is what it seems, and I think that's one thing that I've always kept with me as a child.
right,
You know, like, I was exposed to a lot when I was young. You know, a lot of reality.
right,
So, but I was also exposed to a lot of the good things that are in reality, because if you don't pay, a lot of people don't pay attention.
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't pay attention to the beauty of things that are in the struggle of wherever you are, the pain that you're going through. You don't pay attention because you're so focused on the pain.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, for me, it's just taking an approach of just looking at it from, dang, just life is an art
Right,
form. It's just an artistic
right,
way of how you paint your picture.
right,
You know, like, you could be a warrior in the streets or whatever, or you could be that intellectual brother, or you could be both, or you could be. It's just really the approach of how you take life,
right,
you know, and what you make of it, because you could be in a position where things could be a lot worse. You
right.
know,
Of course.
anything, you know, going into a,
And I
you
think,
know,
going not to cut you,
no, no, go for it. Yeah,
I think one of the biggest things, like you said, is um, for me, from what I understand, is
Yeah.
nobody listens anymore.
Right.
There's too
Short
many.
attention span.
Exactly.
Selective hearing.
Exactly. There's too many quote unquote leaders.
Right.
That I wouldn't say that these people
Yeah.
are leaders these days.
Right.
But there's too many people who want an opinion.
Mm-hmm.
This whole look at me culture.
Yeah.
I can do this. You doing that? I can do this. That's what you're doing. Well, let me go here and do the opposite of you just to spite you. And then if the rest and if I don't agree with you, let me go tell everybody to cancel your ass because this is not what we all should be agreeing to.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I grew
sheep
up
mentality.
Exactly.
It's a sheep mentality.
Exactly. I grew up with understanding you have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason.
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk.
Yeah.
That's an old school gem for you young folks out there. Listen 2 more times, twice as in when you talk. Because the way that the world is set up right now, there's a narrative that there's supposed to be one opinion out here. You dig what I'm saying? Like everybody's supposed to go with one perspective.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a different perspective of what you're thinking,
mm-hmm.
then I'm this, I'm that. You label me a certain point. You dig what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, it's a sheep mentality. Right. It's a follow this to stay in this realm.
Yeah. And and it's like I feel like the thing with me is I've been put in some very fortunate positions to understand a lot of the youth. Mm-hmm. And just the way that we were as youth too.
Right.
So I try to take it from a perspective of I probably did that. Right. I probably did that at some point. But I grew out of it. And it's just like with this one, I don't know. A lot of I don't think they're gonna grow out of it. Right. It's just programming. The programming is so heavy now. Mm-hmm. We were in the days mm-hmm. where it was cool to be you. Right. It was cool to be different. Mm-hmm. Even to a point, different wasn't really accepted back then, but right. It was just like when you were cool, you didn't care. Right. But now it's like everybody's taking a watered down approach and copy and paste mentality. Right. It's just like, oh my God.
That's a great one. That's a great one. It's copy and paste mentality.
I can't do that. I need to be around something that's authentic because I'm an artist. I just don't see the forms because everything is about getting money now, and that's cool too. But it's just like.
But that's what we're shown in our music. Yeah. If you're not talking about money, you're not talking about sex, you're not talking about violence and guns. Right. You're not talking about what you gonna do this and that, and half the time these niggas ain't gonna do shit.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's crazy.
90% of the time that these cats out here, I see them, and I can't speak for, obviously rest in peace to all those who've lost their lives. Over the past 5-6 years, we've been dealing with we deal with the Nipseys who have lost their lives, the Pop Smokes, the P&B Rocks. And it's mainly over some street shit. So, but the problem what I have of what we do is that we put these things in our content, and you know what they say? Yeah, you go knocking on the devil's door, he gonna answer.
Absolutely.
You understand?
You'll find what you're looking for.
You'll find what you're looking. It's not very hard.
It'll find you quickly.
Right. But the problem is these people may really be about that. But these kids are doing this same silly shit out here and losing their lives. Yeah. They're robbing out there. I don't know. You've seen the news, man. This shit is getting crazy. Every time I look around, this new store getting robbed. Gucci, YSL, store. I've seen, and it's all brothers, it's all sisters out here doing this dumb shit. And it's again, these people need mothers and fathers. Mm-hmm. There are no such thing as an ass whipping no more these days.
Nah.
Man, I'm telling you, we used to get our ass whipped. Man. whipped
My
back in the day.
My last ass whooping was when I was 15.
Come on, man.
15, bro.
Come on, man.
So
you know, when you got in trouble on the outside, you'd rather be in trouble out there than go back home and be in trouble. Shit. You think I want to go home and deal with my mom and daddy? No. Man, you crazy?
No.
Take me to jail. I'd rather deal with y'all than deal with them when I get home. You dig what I'm saying?
Man.
So, but that's the thing. Nobody's scared anymore. That's the problem these days with these young cats. There is no respect anymore for elders. Mm-hmm. The young raise the young. These parents are sitting out here having kids when they're 30 and 40 years old, and they're too tired to go and deal with the youngsters anymore. Yeah. So these kids are raising themselves. Their tablets, their phones, the hip hop culture, everything that they're doing, they're raising themselves on, and they're learning how to become men and women by rap lyrics, R&B lyrics. And that's how can you believe that this is how these children are being raised now, because the parents just don't have the energy to do it anymore. There are no after school programs that we used to go to, the Boys and Girls Club. That shit is played out now. You know, there's I mean, I'm sure they do have them out there, but it's not as popular back then. Back then on TV, what you used to see always PSAs, Boys and Girls Clubs. You know, this after school programs, this and this and that. Yeah. We don't have that shit no more. You know what we have? McGruff.
Stay out of gangs.
Stay off drugs.
They stopped all that.
That shit. You remember the lady with the damn influence? You remember the lady with the hole in her damn throat? Lady used to scare the shit out of me, dude. Right. Yes, nigga. I'm telling you, she used to come on at like 12 o'clock at night, and I turn the TV on, I turn them right off, dude, because she used to scare the hell out of me.
I ain't never smoked a cigarette because of that.
Oh my god, bro, she's just
the influences.
Yes, it was a scare tactic.
We were blessed,
absolutely,
you know,
absolutely, but that's not shown anymore.
No.
It's not shown anymore. These kids aren't scared of anything anymore. That's why they'll go take fentanyl. They have so much access to it. It's in candy. It's in this and that. And you know, the worst thing is having to talk to a 14-year-old about just don't accept anything from anybody out here. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not gonna have the world raising my child. I'm not gonna have the world raising my children, and I'm not gonna allow the influence of whatever it is raise my children. Look, I have heroes. My first hero is the Lord. You know what I'm saying? And it trickles down. My father, you know, and then, you know, it goes down to the influences that I have, you know, growing up and different things like that. There's no mentors out here anymore. There's no OGs anymore. The OGs are dead, too old, or the OGs is our age. We the OGs at this point.
Right.
We the young OGs at this point.
Yeah.
But we were fortunate enough to have OGs. You know what I'm saying? To give us respect of life and just kind of give us, you know what I'm saying, the game so that we can flourish.
You know, and I think what it is a lot of the OGs are probably just, I don't know if they dying off or they just it one thing's for sure, the respect is going, they're going for sure.
Yeah.
So, you know,
kids ain't even scared no more.
Yeah, nobody really cares for any advice from the OGs. They just feel like everybody feel like they know everything.
Right.
You know, and they feel like they got life in the pocket, but life is all about life, and things happen in life and you just can't predict where it goes.
Right.
So, you know, it's good to have somebody who knows something that's got a couple of years, you know, a couple of decades of experience on you. They probably got more experience in areas where you ain't never experienced.
Right.
You know, so, you know, sometimes it just takes that humbling of self for, you know, to even just like take that advice, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, the way things go and the way things turn out, you know, it's just good to have some old school stuff that, you know, that probably worked for a long period of time, and it's just solid foundation on how to really, you know, put you in a better situation.
Right.
Wherever your circumstances are in life.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Man, I wanted to talk to you in regards to, you know, we keep it about the culture around here. We keep it about, you know, different things that happen in our culture within our community.
Yeah.
And I would love to, you know, I would love to speak on it. So a few days ago, over the weekend, there was I think it was Alabama brawl.
Oh man.
Where you had, that was the very first time I was so proud And I don't condone violence.
Right.
I don't wish
Yeah.
hurt on pain on anybody, but I do believe in defending yourself by
Yeah.
any means. I'm a
Yeah.
firm believer in that. So when I saw that, I said, man, finally, we're not competing against each other. Finally, we're not
Right.
going viral for shooting at each other. Finally,
Yeah.
we're not going viral for stealing shit out of a
Yeah.
store. Finally, we're unified in something.
Yeah.
Now, that was a great moment.
Mm-hmm.
Great moment. It on social media, it brought us together. We
Right.
had memes, we had a great laugh about it,
Yeah.
we had different perspective, and then 24 hours later,
Yeah.
Meg the Stallion,
Oh my gosh.
Tory
My
Lanez
goodness.
situation comes out. And
Yeah.
guess what it does? Divides us again.
Yeah.
Can you speak on that, man? Can we get a little perspective of what you
It's
think about this entire ordeal, man, and how the media
man.
had the narration, the narrative of the media, and how they do that too.
It to me, a lot of things are just distractions, and I
Right.
think people are. It's just that social media part of things, you know,
Mm-hmm.
because nobody truly knows anything, you know, unless they were there.
Right.
You
Right.
know, I'm always a see it to believe it type of person, and that's what I was taught about the old school. Seeing is
Right.
believing.
You have
You know what I'm
OG.
saying? But only thing that you know, except for God, that's a
Right.
different story.
Right.
But you know, that's something that even I've seen too, you
Mhm.
know, to a point to where I truly believe. But we'll go into that on another subject. But
Right.
just going back into the whole division thing and just like how, you know, it's just people are not seeing the bigger picture
Right.
of what's really going on. You know, what's really going on is just, you know, the demise of the black race.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know,
I was hoping
like
you say it. I was hoping you say it because you dropped the gem on me the other night. You said, you said this is a form of supremacy.
it is. And
It's
see
a
what
form of supremacy. So speak on your perspective
it's
of.
the demise of the black race in a whole, but
Mhm.
the center is the black man. You
Right.
know, if the black man is strong, you know, in the aspects of just focus,
Mhm.
because a black man is more dangerous, you know, than a murderer when he's focused.
Of course.
Because even a murderer is focused in a way. Let's not go there, but
Right.
you know what I'm saying? It's just like the drive,
Right.
and just like when a queen is beside that man, you know, not just to give him reassurance, but because a woman is an incubator.
Mhm.
But if a man is strong, a woman provides even more stability
Mhm.
to the black man. We are stronger together.
Right.
And what's going on right now is a lot of wars between sex and things
Mhm.
like that. And for the black man, they know the demise of the black man starts with the black woman.
Right.
The black woman is out of control. So is the black man. It's chaos, you know. And a lot of these things, like I said, are just distractions
Mhm.
from us focusing on us, you know, and us doing the work. That goes all the way back to mental health. Everything is a connection,
Mhm.
and even spirituality, because a lot of people feel like a lot of relationships don't work is because people lack spirituality.
Mhm.
Nothing is going to work unless you have some kind of balance in your life. You know, when it comes to God or whatever you believe in the center of any type of marriage or any type of relationship, you should have that.
Mhm.
You know, if you're taking somebody serious.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody taking nobody serious nowadays because we're getting so many dopamine hits from social media. You know what I'm saying? And it's just it's too many distractions.
Mhm.
And people will take what they learn or what they see online, and then they'll go in public and have that perspective, and that's not even true
Right.
of people. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole gym culture too.
Yeah.
It's bad. Like
Yeah.
it's just bad
Yeah.
everywhere. Like
Yeah.
there should be a time where a man go into a place and he's there to learn from people, and he's
Mhm.
there to get a perspective from another man, like the barbershop.
Right.
Probably can't even do that now, you know, because men are you know, in their whole bag, and they talking about this and they bragging about that,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just like, you know.
I think one of the biggest things that divides us is, and it starts from how do I put this? So going from the Meg Thee Stallion situation,
Mm-hmm.
you know, I'm not here to say what this brother did, what he
Mm-hmm.
didn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody was there.
Right.
Nobody can honestly say, because the funny thing is when we see these things, and we, like you said, we see these distractions, as we call
Mm-hmm.
them. We see these things that these people are talking about. We see all these different opinions, and then everybody wants to play investigator
Right.
because they're fans of these people. 90% of
Mm-hmm.
the time, they're fans. You know, the women
Yeah.
are fans of Meg. You got
Yeah.
guys and women who are fans of Tory, and
Man.
it's
Yeah.
coming from a one-sided perspective. And for the, the ones, and again, I can't speak on what the sister has been through. She has, apparently she has been shot. I
Mm-hmm.
will never say that something didn't happen to somebody when they're
Mm-hmm.
saying it didn't.
Mm-hmm.
However, substantial evidence shows that nothing pointed back to this brother doing that. Now we're going off of a hearsay,
Yeah.
just like they did off of Bill Cosby.
Right.
They're going off of a hearsay.
Yeah.
Again, I do not, and I repeat, I do not, and I will not say that something that you are accusing somebody of did not happen.
Mm-hmm.
I can't say that. But when there is no proof, and you're talking about taking some lights and some time off somebody's life,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be a deep, there's something that, there has to be something else. There has to
Man,
be another resolution than just locking somebody up for 10 years.
I'm gonna tell you, man. Look, I worked on a boat, a cruise ship, as a
Right.
housekeeper and all
Right.
that. You know, did that for about 6 months. You know, for not even a year, and being on that boat for 6 months was exhausting. And we worked, 12 days a week.
Yeah.
But it was fun. And we were at our disposal. We can get off the boat, we can dock, we can go see things. You make friends or whatever, guests and all that good stuff. And over time, you get tired of being on that boat
Right.
because you're going up and down the river,
Of course.
up and down the river, and it's
Mhm.
like, okay, cool, you get off and everything, but you get tired of being on that boat. And this was a 6 month thing. Can you imagine a man being in a 12 by 12 cell for 10 years?
10 years.
And this man is in this facility for 10 years.
Right.
Like, the 6 months that I was gone, bro,
Mhm.
when I came back to LA, everything was different
Right.
for me.
Right,
I
right,
felt
right.
like I was lost.
Right. Right.
6 months.
Right.
You're being on a boat, you're going up and down the Mississippi River for, for that time period, you're making friends or whatever, but just still being on that boat gives you some kind of anxiety.
Right. Right.
You know?
Right.
So being in a prison for 10 years, man, is just, that man ain't gonna understand anything when he come back out.
I thought it was something interesting that you said the other day. You said this is sending a message not only to hip hop, not only to black culture, but this is sending a message to black men.
Mm-hmm. And what it is, you have to understand, 6 months, you lost so much information on the outside world on actually how to do things, and just how to cope with society. In a 6 month period, but in a 10 month period,
10 years.
I mean a 10 year period, you're not gonna really understand. You're not gonna really understand what's going on once you step out. It's gonna be a whole new world for you.
Right.
So coming back in, it's going to be different. It's just because you've been in such an environment for such a long period of time. Your brain is reframed around that environment.
Right.
So, but shouts out to people that know how to do that.
Yeah.
But for
that
a
takes
young
a lot.
man going in it and understanding that he about to serve 10 years
Right.
for something as petty as shooting somebody in the foot, because we all know, worries. We all know somebody that's done something a whole lot worse
Right.
and got a lot
A
less
lot less
time.
time.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
this is, again, like you said, this is a message to black men.
Yeah.
Your days are numbered.
No matter how, what they want to show black men is no matter what level of life you're at, we
We can
still
take it away.
we still could crack that whip
Right.
on you.
We could
You
snatch it.
know, I'm gonna let you know. I'm gonna hit your pockets. I'm gonna put you in prison, and how I'm gonna do that is I'm gonna use your women against you.
Ooh.
Because if you
Ooh.
look in the Bible, the demise of a lot of men were women.
We're women.
You know what I'm saying? And this shout out to all the queens out there. I don't mean nothing bad. Like I ain't trying to say, anything bad about y'all. It's just your beauty.
Right.
It's your beauty what captivates us as men.
Right.
And we want to be around beautiful women, of course.
Right. But
You know.
a lot of the times, and this is another perspective,
Right.
a lot of the times, the demise of man is because they can't think
Undisciplined.
past
Mm.
what their flesh wants.
Mm.
They can't think. See, when a woman comes in a room, this is why it's so important for me to raise my children correctly, because
Mm-hmm.
what you wear out in this world,
Right.
what I see these girls, little girls,
Right.
at my daughter's school when I
Oh,
drop them, they
man.
have the tiny shorts, the shirts that are
Bro.
showing their stomachs, that are showing their their cleavage and different
Yeah.
things like that.
Yeah.
But you have to understand, when a man comes in the room, the man is thinking visually.
Mm-hmm.
He's not thinking, let me just go, you know what I'm saying? That's why the first thing to a man is attraction.
Right.
It's not we're not attracted to a woman's heart.
Right.
When we first meet them.
Right.
It's not what we're looking at.
Mm.
We're looking at something. We're looking at the visual. We're looking at the body. We're looking at we're not worried about what's on your brain.
Right. Right.
They're worried about the piece of skin that's showing.
Yeah.
You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think as men, if we can tighten and discipline ourselves up, maybe we can stay out of a lot of trouble that we put ourselves in, instead of blaming a lot of the things on the women. Now, the women, on the other hand, have to stop playing games.
Yeah.
And have to stop putting themselves out there to be a certain way. And then when it's time to get down that way, you want to cry wolf. Yeah. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Don't you put yourself out there to be this way. Now when it goes down, it's like, oh my God, this happened. You put yourself out there this way.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? I don't. So I have like a different perspective on it. This is why I tell my 14-year-old, there will be no stomach showing. Right. You will not be having half shirts. You will be having stuff that's respectable for a young lady to wear. I'm not trying to have you dressed like a nun, but you ain't gonna be dressing like sexy red and all them. You know what I'm saying? All them females I see out there. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna be dressing like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so we just have to. I see as men, we have to stop putting ourselves in dumbass situations, like what this young brother did. You know what I'm saying? So whatever the situation is, from what I was reading, they were all intoxicated. Whoever had a gun, it was with the three of them. However it was with security. I don't know the entire origin of the story, but what I do know is it's a situational things that we put ourselves in to set us up for failure. And we set ourselves up for failure, not only as a man, but as a culture at the end of the day. Look, when I turn on the news, I don't want to see black people in bullshit. I don't want to see another black man taken into custody for 10 years and taken into jail for 10 years or whatever it is. I don't want to see another black man dead. I don't want to see that. I want to see us flourishing, building businesses, creating generational wealth. Doing something different. There's one person I really respect in this industry, and that's Master P. Master P has gotten to an entire different realm. Master P has gotten into a entire different market. Master P is doing cereal.
Man, teaching people, like
he's doing
dropping jewels, man.
That's a whole nother. That's a whole game. Yes. That's an entire. You got E40s out there doing the same thing, but there's so many different things that we can be doing to keep ourselves busy, to keep ourselves out of trouble.
Yeah.
But this whole, again, goes back to sheep culture. Look at me culture. Look what I got. Look at my chain. Look at my chick. Look at this. there's things that come with that.
It's the Mr. Me Too.
Thank you.
Me
There's
Too
things that
culture.
come with that, and there's things that you're gonna have to
Yeah.
live with by going out and putting yourself in situations like this. So now you got another brother who's lost 10 years
Yeah.
off of his life,
Yeah.
off of some dumb shit that he may or may not have done.
Right. Nobody truly knows
Of
what
course
really
not.
took place there. But
Right.
what I don't like is just the fact that there's so much bias.
Yes.
And then like it goes back to that whole thing when I talk about the internet and people being in a dark place,
Right.
and then they come on the internet and then they give their opinion about how terrible all black men are.
Right. And it's usually coming from black women.
And they say all black men are predators and abusive.
Right.
This one woman went off on me so bad, bro. I remember, you know, showing you little bits of just like that, and I showed you the thread of
Right.
just like how much hatred that this sister had in her heart towards me,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like from a point of what I was coming from was just people can't even joke with each other
No,
anymore.
no.
You know,
Again, it goes back to that.
getting
You
to a
have to
point.
have, you have to have that opinion.
Right,
and if you don't have my opinion,
yeah,
then you're
yeah,
wrong. You're this. You're misogynistic. You're you
I'm
know what I'm saying?
telling you,
Like,
and
come on,
it gets
man.
to a point, bro, where people could like it can get where lawsuits are involved
Right.
and courts are involved and things like that.
Right.
But just to be in a position where a sister just wishes ill will upon a black
Right.
man, another, you know, our own melanin,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what you come from,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it hurts.
And
You know,
I think it
and
goes back to
not from a perspective of an emotional thing. It's
right.
just it's from an outside perspective of just where you give empathy and you just want to you just want to see people win.
Mm-hmm.
But when you see somebody has that much hatred, it's like you need to go get some help, man,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like you're adding to the fire.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're not, you know, putting things away. You know, we're creating more issues
Mm-hmm.
than solutions. You know, and that's one thing that is just it's so important right now. I wish there was just some form of free therapy for black people.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, where it's just like because people we live in times where things are so expensive,
Mm-hmm.
and just a form and you have so much to worry about, utilities, bills, and things like that, and a therapist charging you $75 an hour,
Right.
you know, for some time just to, you know, vent, because a lot of people can't vent to their homies,
Right.
you know, and even if that, you don't want to keep venting to your homie because you're gonna become to a point where, you know, it's enabling, and then it's just like this man has his own life,
Mm-hmm.
you know, like I speak of you, you know, when it comes to things, and certain men just don't have that outlet of just like, you know, having that, man. It
Mm-hmm.
would just be such a great thing, but you know, it is what it is.
I think the vulnerability, it's the lack of vulnerability that we're able to to be able to display as a man.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard for us to go to another man and say, "Hey, I got this problem, bro. You know what is your take on this?"
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'll get calls from homies, and it's like, okay, I don't need to give you gems.
Right.
Sometimes you just need an ear.
Yeah.
I'm not here to say this is what you need to do. You need to do this, you need to
Yeah.
do that, because that's how I live my life. This is
Right.
how I would do it. If you ask me to give you some perspective on it, then I'll do that. But I'm not here to say this is what you need to do because your life is going this way.
Right.
90% of the time,
That
all a
controlling
man needs
aspect.
is an ear. That's it.
That
And I
controlling
think the
aspect.
the,
Yeah.
the the vulnerability, going back to the vulnerability, the really screwed up part about vulnerability is it's hard for men to give that to somebody because we feel like it's going to be used against us.
Absolutely.
It's going to be used against. Eventually, it's going to be used against us.
Because that's what happened to a lot of young men as they grew up.
Right.
They always get let down.
Right.
You know, by friends,
Mm-hmm.
by society, by your family.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I grew up like that too.
Right.
But what a lot of young men are going through right now is they're harboring all of that.
Right.
You know, and it's turned into a wound.
Right.
That is not, you know, healed, and it's still deep to a lot of these young men. So
right.
they're finding ways to cope by, you know, doing this sporadic stuff, you know, in the streets.
Right.
You know, and I understand that because
right.
I come from that. too.
Right.
You know, like my cousins, you know, the way that they went about it was the way that they went about it.
Right.
They are the gangsters, you
Right.
know,
Right.
and we
Right.
all got the family
Of
members, I'm
course.
sure,
Of course.
you know, that's doing time or
Of
something
course.
like that. But you know, we got those examples, you know, the ones that was really gladiators in the streets.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But
That's what it is,
you
man.
know,
That's what it is,
it's
man.
crazy,
You know.
man. You know, it's
Yeah.
just
It's the
life
world we
is
live in.
interesting. The world that we live in, I think just there's a lot of people just hurting.
Right.
You can
Right.
tell there's only two people in these kind of lives: the people that are hurting and the people that are loving.
Right. Right.
And the people that are loving eventually become the people that are hurting.
Right.
That's what's going on right now.
Right.
You know?
Right. That's the scary
But there are
part.
some people that are tired of hurting,
Right.
you know, and they're just ready to love, you know.
That's
And
a
that's where
great.
I'm at with it. But see, when you get to that point, that's where you start to understand, you start seeking other things to try
Mm-hmm.
to help you. Because I've always been in that state of where if I don't know how to get out of this, I'm gonna figure out a way how to get out
Mm-hmm.
of this. You know, and then it's just as a man, you always held accountable, regardless. Men
Mm-hmm.
gonna keep holding you accountable one way or another,
Of course.
not even verbally, physically.
Right.
You know, you
Right.
gonna get humbled. You know, that's one thing about that I love about the gym because you have this ego going in there thinking you about to lift this extremely heavy weight, and you may have lifted
Right. Right.
before.
Right.
You may have lifted it before, you know, and not too long ago.
Right.
But you get in there a couple of days later and you don't, you know, it might not be the same for
Right.
you. You know, you
Right.
thinking you going in there trying to show something, and
Right.
then
Exactly.
it humbles you again.
Right.
See, what a lot of black men need is outlets.
Right.
They need outlets. They need better outlets.
Right.
You know,
Right.
like
Right.
one thing that always breaks my heart is what I see is a lot of young men like to just physically dominate each other without some kind of form of structure.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it comes to physical violence, we
Right.
go into it. We want to send this man to the hospital rather than just send him home with a black eye. We could just threw on the gloves,
Right.
you
Right.
know, and just duked it out in the
Right.
streets for a
Right.
couple rounds. And
Right.
hey, we
Catch
probably
a
have more
friendly fade.
respect
A
for each
friendly
other.
fade. A friendly
It'd probably
fade.
be cool.
Right.
You know, whenever
Right.
some shit really go down, like the
Right.
whole thing in Alabama. You
Right. Right.
know?
Right. You know what I'm saying?
But it's just like people are afraid of taking L's nowadays
Right.
too. You know, and you know, it's just
Shit.
it's
A lot of
crazy.
niggas out here, you take
It's
a L,
bad,
they'll go
man.
back and kill you. You know what I'm saying?
And
Like,
you it's better to let it go. That's just the way it goes for
right.
us as a black man. It's better to let it go.
Right.
And that's the way society is conditioned a lot of men, but some men just don't give a damn.
No.
You know, and they willing to take that chance. But for a lot of us men that are disciplined, we are just as courageous.
Right.
We are just as bold
Right.
because we actually choose peace over violence. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's better to be a warrior in the garden to be a gardener in the war.
Jim.
So, you know, it's just like
Jim.
what a lot of young guys gotta understand, you ain't gotta always go there.
Right.
Sometimes it's okay to walk away.
Right.
You
Right.
know, is what I've learned too, because you gotta really think about the circumstances and where it could lead. And I
Yep.
think a lot of people not thinking
Long
you know,
term.
long
They
term
think
or
short term.
short term. And it's in the moment now. I feel like my man is being tested. So now I gotta just, you know, but one thing you have to understand is you have to understand your strength
Mm-hmm.
and you have to understand your weaknesses. Because once you understand both sides,
Right.
that's when you become a man.
Right.
Because every man has weaknesses.
Right.
Achilles
Of course.
had weaknesses.
Of course.
His name came from that.
Right. Right.
So it's just like you just have to humble down, like for real.
Yeah.
That's just what it is, man.
Yeah,
Just
man.
humble down and life will humble you.
Man.
At some point.
Yeah, that's true.
At some point.
Man.
I'd rather do it while I'm younger
Right.
than when I get
right,
old.
Right.
Like a lot of these niggas be in their 50s
Right.
and you know,
it's too late at that point.
it'd be like, damn.
Right.
You know?
If I had this perspective 25 years ago.
Yo.
Right.
What am I gonna do?
Right.
At 50, my body is no longer the same that it was at 35.
Right.
I have no time to regret
Right.
what I've done.
Right.
You know, and I have no time to trip.
Right.
You know, I have to find the right kind of outlets to keep my mental right.
Right.
Therapy plays such a major role.
Absolutely.
It plays such a major role.
Right.
And I'm sitting, man, like I know I'm going off like this, but
Talk your talk, man.
you know, I'm sitting and I'm talking to my brother and my dad, and I just see their mental state. just by the way that they leave things around the house. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it's just like, cleanliness is next to, you know, your mind frame. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And just there's just things that are out of place, when it comes to, the mental state. And a lot
Hmm.
of things are just overlooked and people just don't talk,
Right.
and it's just like so much dealing with,
Right.
you
No, I
know,
get it. I get it. I get
we
it.
internalize so much and we don't externalize it. And
Right.
just the way that we externalize it is just bad, bro.
It is, man. It is. But like I said, man,
It's
it's
just
it's
bad.
perspective. It's always something that we like to leave and just understand
Yeah.
that when it's all over, when it's all said and done, we got it off our chest. We did what we had to do
Yeah.
to come in and decompress.
Yeah.
And again, on the spot, at the spot, this is a show where we can come and decompress. That's
Hmm.
why I don't want you to ever feel like you just ranting and raving. It's a show where we come and decompress,
Yeah.
man. This is a place where it's a safe haven. It's a safe space for
Yeah.
all people to come by
Yeah, man.
and give their perspective on whatever it is that they
Yeah.
believe. And again, I'm not here to change you. You're not here to change
Right.
me, but we are here to get real. We are here to
Absolutely.
get real, man.
Man,
So,
and it's just a thing of beauty,
hmm,
when you actually able to just decompress as a black man.
absolutely,
Cause it's
absolutely,
like you be in a situation where you be ready, you just it's
right,
50-50 for
right,
you. So you choosing the white wolf or the black wolf
right,
today.
right,
You choose
exactly,
violence or peace today.
exactly,
It's like a thin line. You know
exactly,
what I'm saying? And it's just like, we are the minority
right.
out here.
No, I dig.
You know what I'm
I
saying?
dig.
Regardless of where we go, we
I
have to
dig.
also keep that in mind as
Yeah.
black men. You know
Yeah,
what I'm saying?
absolutely.
And we are singled out, even by our own women,
Oh, absolutely.
which hurts. It sucks because I think black women, and with a lot of these young black women today, they think that a lot of men are out to get them, a lot of black men are out to do them wrong. No, honestly, we want to obtain black women. We love black women more than they think. You
Well,
know,
that's a division that was created.
it's like it's
That's a Jim Crow. That's a Jim Crow that was created by our culture.
yeah,
It was laws and not laws, but it was perspective from a white man to keep us separated.
yeah,
Um, to keep the light skin separated from dark skin,
yeah,
to keep, you know what I'm saying? And it was all to continue to keep this cycle going of separation
mm,
for us. It was all to keep us divided, to keep us always against each other. And you would
right,
think that stuff was created in like 17, 1800s,
man,
and it's still prevalent in 2023.
yeah,
It sucks. It really
yeah,
sucks. But man, thank you for coming by, man.
yeah,
I
man,
gotta wrap it. We gotta wrap it up, man. But
yeah,
you know, I really, really appreciate you,
no
man.
doubt, man, no doubt,
I really appreciate you for coming by, man, and dropping this gem on me, man,
yeah,
and blessing me, bro. This is the very first episode,
man,
and I'm gonna make sure that we always have a place to go to decompress,
mm,
to um feel safe
mm-hmm,
in an environment to talk freely, to be vulnerable with each other, because there's nothing wrong with black men being vulnerable. There's nothing
absolutely,
wrong with that.
right,
And the they try to sell you that you are always there have to be the strong one. You always have
mm-hmm,
to be the manliest man in the room.
mm-hmm,
You always gotta have your chest poked out and all of this shit. But man, we cry,
mm,
we hurt, we go through things just like everybody else, man.
that's a
And
fact, man,
they
that's a
don't
fact,
really give us a room or a platform or anywhere to speak on this kind of
mm-hmm,
stuff. So, man, thank you for coming by today,
no doubt,
man.
man,
I do have to ask you a question, though.
yeah,
We are based around the culture.
mm-hmm,
So, I always get, perspective on different. Yeah,
I
I
gotta
got you.
use a bad dude,
I always give you different. We're about to wrap it up, but real quick, real
okay,
quick, real quick. You had to bring. There's a
mm-hmm,
concert going on. 5 artists.
mm-hmm.
Bring them back, dead or alive. Who
Dead
you
or
got?
alive, uh, number one, I would have to say, uh, Miles Davis.
Ooh,
I would say Miles Davis is one.
got Miles.
Um, Sam Cooke, Michael Jackson,
Sheesh.
um, Frank Ocean, and Pharrell. Yeah,
Nice.
that's it.
Nice.
Kind of jazz. I don't know what it is, but I always lean towards jazz for some reason. It's just like, even in like the music that I compose, there's some kind of jazz thing in it.
Nothing wrong with
It's the
that.
swing of it. It's just it's addicting.
Nothing wrong with that. Well, thank you, man, for coming by, man. I really appreciate you, brother, for coming by. Thank you for joining me on the spot. As always, I want to wish you peace and blessings to you and yours. Thank you. Thank you, Antonio. Appreciate you, my brother.
Yes.